Good day. This is Kaelan Mullins with News Channel 9, and today we'll be going through several pieces of national and international news. From Washington, D.C., the U.S. is setting up a $1.7 billion national network to identify and track worrisome coronavirus mutations whose spread could trigger another pandemic wave, the Biden administration announced Friday. White House officials unveiled a strategy that features three components: a major funding boost for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and state health departments to ramp up gene mapping of coronavirus samples, the creation of 6 centers of excellence partnerships with universities to conduct research and develop technologies for gene-based surveillance of pathogens, and building a data system to better share and analyze information on emerging disease threats so the knowledge can be turned into action. This new effort, which relies on money approved by Congress as part of President Joe Biden's coronavirus relief package, aims to break what experts say is a feast or famine cycle in U.S. preparedness for biological threats, of which the coronavirus is only one example. Others have included Ebola and Zika, and respiratory viruses like SARS in 2002 and MERS in 2012, which did not become major problems in the United States. Typically, the government scrambles to counter a potential threat, but funding dries up when it recedes. The new Genomic Surveillance Initiative aims to create a permanent infrastructure. It's a transformative amount of money, Mary Lee Watts, Federal Affairs Director at the American Society for Microbiology, said in a recent interview. It has the potential to not only go ahead and get ahead of the current crisis, but it is going to help us in the future. This is a program that has been underfunded for years. In more news of the U.S., divers are searching for oil industry workers on a capsized lifeboat prepared to enter the vessel Friday, a rescue effort complicated by daunting technical challenges and continued bad weather. The hope is that the 12 missing people have found air pockets to survive inside of the Seacore Power, most of which is submerged in 50-foot seas about 8 miles, 13 kilometers, off the Louisiana coast. As long as the weather permits, the divers will try to gain access to the vessel. That is the ultimate goal, Petty Officer 3rd Class Carlos Galarza said early Friday. 2 of the missing have been communicating with rescuers by two-way radio after the ungainly platform ship flipped off the hurricane-force winds Tuesday. They were spotted clinging to the overturned hull but returned to seek shelter inside after a 3rd man fell into the water and was lost. There have been no signs of life since then, officials said. On Thursday, searchers knocked at the ship's hull without response. There is the potential that they are still there, but we don't know, Petty Officer 2nd Class Jonathan Lally said Thursday. We're still searching for 12 people because there are 12 still missing. Relatives of the missing gathered at a fire station at Port Fourchon, a sprawling base for much of the offshore oil and gas industry in the Gulf of Mexico. The port, busy with cranes, cargo, and heavy equipment, is where workers from across Louisiana and beyond load up a fleet of helicopters and ships that take them to the rigs for long stretches of work. Again for Washington, D.C., President Joe Biden said Wednesday that he will withdraw remaining U.S. troops from the forever war in Afghanistan, declaring that the September 11 terror attacks of 20 years ago cannot justify American forces still dying in the nation's longest war. His plan is to pull out all American forces, numbering 2,500 now, by this September 11th, the anniversary of the attacks, which were coordinated from Afghanistan. Soon after Biden made his announcement, NATO chiefs Jens Stoltenberg in Brussels said the alliance had agreed to withdraw its roughly 7,000 forces from Afghanistan, matching Biden's decision to begin a final pullout by May 1st. In world news, Moscow is weighing how to respond to Washington's sanctions and planned expulsions of Russian diplomats in a tit-for-tat fashion, the Kremlin spokesman said Friday, but noted that President Vladimir Putin has not decided what course to take. Nobody has canceled the principle of reciprocity in such matters. It is a fundamental principle, Dmitry Peskov told reporters. Yet again, everything will depend on a decision to be made by the head of state. His comments followed the U.S. announcement Thursday that it would expel 10 Russian diplomats as well as place sanctions on 32 Russia-related individuals and companies accused of interfering in the 2020 presidential election, spreading disinformation and other harmful actions. U.S. officials claim most of the diplomats on the expulsion list are intelligence officers working under diplomatic cover.